Hey Tazi, I wanted to give you some feedback here in terms of your first writing assignment. Okay, so I think my number one suggestion would be to to pick one of these sort of different experiences that you're talking about in your paper, and then develop that one particular experience rather than focusing on so many. You do kind of focus on way too many experiences, and although all of them have to do with literacy, the problem is that because you have so many, you tell us a little bit about each one, but then it doesn't allow you, because you move on to the next story, it doesn't really allow you to really develop and really analyze that particular moment, that particular experience enough to be able to give your reader some sort of literacy insight. So, for example, in here, you're talking about being very competitive growing up, and wanting to do your best. And you recount the AR program in here. You tell us the squiggle days with that particular teacher, being introduced to the Geronimo Stilton books over here, right? So basically, this is your early childhood. So you're telling us what you were involved in, but again, there's no lesson, there's no insight about literacy that a literacy narrative is supposed to have. Then, for example, over here you go to Eagles Airy Charter School, and you talk about this great teacher, but really beginning to sort of lose your desire to read and not wanting to really read anymore as a result of this sort of kind of this dynamic of being put in a junior high school class and being given these books, right? And the only book that you actually read was The Giver. And so this is sort of like a very negative experience for you. So now you've got this experience right here, this experience right here. But again, at the end of the experience, at the end of of what you've described, I don't see a place where you really talk about, where you analyze, okay, what have I learned? What did I know then? What did I learn then? What do I know now about this experience regarding literacy? I think, for example, that in this particular case, this was obviously a very negative, in some ways, very negative literacy sponsor for you, this particular school, because of what happened here. And so I think that maybe you can talk a little bit about that, about how sometimes institutions, not necessarily just people or curricula, can be a negative literacy sponsor. And then, of course, over here you talk about being sort of exposed to Hunger Games and wanting to read all over again, and loving that, right? But at the same time, understanding that you have fallen behind in here, and the sort of the very very practical consequences of that fallen behind. And so in here, if you want to talk about this one, you can talk about Deborah Brandt's article on the sort of like the social and the economic impact that one's literacy can have, and the positive or negative literacy sponsors in our lives can have a huge influence for us, right? So again, you've got these different experiences of your life, but what I would suggest is take either this one or this one or this one, right, of what you have in here, and develop it a little bit more, but more importantly, analyze it from from an adult's perspective, and take a look at it. Okay, let me make sense of this. What is it that I learned? Because remember, a literacy narrative, yes, part of it is telling a story, and you've done that really, really well. But the other part is also to provide your reader with some type of literacy insight, concept, lesson that they can take away with them as well. All right. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if you have any questions for me. Okay. Thanks.